There's a component set in most bikes' back wheels that nobody really thinks about. It's not listed in most service schedules, and you probably only notice them when they fall out of your hub when you take your rear wheel off. It's your Cush drive, and these things are a lot more important than people give them credit for. I'll explain why and show you how to inspect them in this episode of the Shop Manual. This episode is powered by DuraBoost batteries. Get 10% off your next DuraBoost purchase at RevZilla.com with discount code TSM10. Cush drive is short for cushion drive, and like any good cushion, these things make life more comfortable for your engine and for you. These little rubber cushions rest in the wheel hub and fit snugly with the sprocket carrier and help soften driveline loads to make life easier on your transmission, chain, and sprockets. The integrity of your Cush drive is also critical for throttle response because as these things wear, they're going to compress, and that's going to introduce play and thus driveline lash. Loose cushion is going to feel like a super loose chain, so there's going to be a lurching sensation when you open the throttle and then a delay on engine braking after you close the throttle. So if your throttle response sucks when you've already checked your throttle free play and your chain slack, then your Cush drive should be next on the list. The best way to check is with the wheel off the bike, so this is something I do pretty much every time I change tires. Just grab the sprocket and try and twist it relative to the hub. I don't want to see any movement, but the few manuals that do list a service limit will say 3 to 5 millimeters. Now, I think that's excessive because the engine torque is going to twist this sprocket a whole lot more than I can with my fingers, so less movement is better, with 0 being ideal. If you're watching this video and you're still a long way from tire replacement, or you just don't want to remove your rear wheel, you're in luck. Another easy way to check for Cush drive free play is to click your bike into gear and then rock it back and forth and watch the sprocket carrier's movement relative to the hub. 2 pieces of masking tape or a line from a paint pen are helpful reference points. A healthy Cush drive might have a little bit of movement as the rubbers compress, but more or less the hub and sprocket carrier should move in unison. If not, you've got 2 options. The first is to simply replace the Cush drive. They're sold as a set, they're usually pretty cheap, they drop right in the hub, done deal. The second option, which you could consider the cheapskate fix or the MacGyver fix, depending on your perspective, is to shim the worn rubbers. A milk jug or oil bottle is usually about 3/4 of a millimeter thick and works great for shimming. Just cut them down to size and slot them between the rubber and the hub to take up the slack. And if you have to tap the sprocket carrier or even stand on it to press it in, good. That's the kind of snug fit you want. So how long do these things typically last? A really long time. In fact, it was hard to find a worn set for this video. I had to pull these out of my buddy's 2011 CBR 250 with 57,000 miles in it. And just because these things are durable and last a long time does not mean you shouldn't check them. You absolutely should. And if you find any play, take care of it. It's going to improve your throttle response, which is going to improve your sense of connection to the motorcycle. And it's also going to allow this important component, the Cush drive, to do what it's supposed to do, which is protect your transmission, sprocket, and chain. Thanks for watching this episode of the Shop Manual. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. And I gotta say, I enjoy it. It's a huge privilege to be able to teach people about motorcycles so they can understand them and work on them better. So if you like what we do here, you like the information we bring and the questions we answer, just know that the Shop Manual is produced with funds when people like you make a purchase at RevZilla. So if you want to support the Shop Manual, support RevZilla. And if you want more motorcycle content, you want written reviews and news, cruise on over to Common Tread, where we are constantly publishing new content.